In a West African nation once known as Upper Volta, history sees echoes. Two young soldiers, decades apart, have seized the hope of the people. The first was Thomas Sankara, a charismatic captain who became president in 1983. The second is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who rose in 2022. Both won power in coups, both promised big change. Both spoke of giving power back to the people. In this episode, we tell their stories side by side, past and present, and draw out the threads that connect them. Welcome to the world of research. Welcome to the large family of wisdom in narrations. Our journey begins in 1983. Africa was a young continent of independent nations, still shadowed by colonial debts and foreign influence. In the old Upper Volta, a coup brought Thomas Sankara to power. Sankara was only 33 years old. He called his country Burkina Faso, land of upright people, a name to inspire honesty and pride.
Faisons en sorte également que le marché africain soit le marché des Africains. Produire en Afrique, transformer en Afrique et consommer en Afrique. Produisons ce dont nous avons besoin et consommons ce que nous produisons au lieu d'importer.
Sankara's rise was dramatic. He took power with a promise to fight injustice, much like other revolutionary leaders of his era. He was influenced by Pan-African thinkers and other revolutionaries, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, and even West African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah. Sankara famously said, "While revolutionaries as individuals can be murdered, you cannot kill ideas." He lived by those words. In just 4 years, Sankara transformed Burkina Faso. He was a leader of the people, not of luxury. He famously cut government waste. He sold the official Mercedes cars and made ministers drive cheap Renault models. He reduced all public servant salaries, including his own. Sankara refused privileges. Ministers could not use government chauffeurs or first-class tickets. He lived in a simple office with one car, a few bicycles, a fridge, and even a broken freezer. His sister-in-law remembered serving beans, not fine dinners, at the presidential palace. Sankara believed strongly in self-reliance. He declared, "He who feeds you controls you." By this he meant, any country that relies on foreign food or aid will never be truly free. He led a major campaign for food self-sufficiency. In a few years, Burkina Faso became self-sufficient in basic foods. He also launched environmental programs, planting millions of trees to stop the Sahara from spreading and modernizing farming with new tools.
Notre pays produit suffisamment de quoi nous nourrir. Nous pouvons dépasser même notre production, malheureusement. Par manque d'organisation, nous sommes encore obligés de tendre la main pour demander des aides alimentaires. Ces aides alimentaires qui nous bloquent, qui nous inspirent, qui installent dans nos esprits cette habitude, ces réflexes de mendiant, d'assister. Nous devons mettre de côté ces aides par notre grande production. Il faut réussir à produire plus. Produire plus. Produire plus parce que il est normal que celui qui vous donne à manger vous dicte également ses volontés. Nous consommons que ce que nous contrôlons.
Sankara's bold reforms reshaped society. He promoted education and health. The literacy rate soared from 13% to 73% under his leadership. He opened schools and vaccination clinics across the country. He launched immunization drives. Millions of children were saved from polio and smallpox. He even outlawed forced marriages and fought to improve women's rights.
Ce qui veut dire que nous devons donner à chaque femme un emploi. Nous devons donner à chaque femme le moyen de gagner honnêtement et dignement sa vie.
The revolution and women's liberation go together, he proclaimed, and legalized abortions to reduce maternal deaths. On the economic front, Sankara redistributed land. Large estates and tribal chief farms were broken up. Land was given to poor farmers to grow cotton and grain. Cotton production boomed under his rule. One African newspaper said Burkina Faso went from begging for food to feeding itself. His government built roads, factories, even a tractor factory in Bobo Dioulasso, and started plans for a hydroelectric dam. Burkina Faso's people saw real change under Sankara's watch. Sankara also talked big ideas. He was a passionate Pan-Africanist. He urged African leaders to unite and throw off neo-colonial control by banks like the IMF. At the UN in 1984, he challenged big powers.
Parce que il est normal que celui qui vous donne à manger vous dicte également ses volontés.
He who feeds you also imposes his will. We are free. He who does not feed you can demand nothing of you. Down with imperialism. He criticized foreign debt as a reconquest of Africa. In every speech, he asked Africans to stand tall. One African proverb Sankara might have quoted, "Until the lion tells his own story, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter." Sankara wanted Africa to tell its own story. He often said Africa's hungry people could grow enough food. It was lack of organization that made them beg. He inspired pride. Children painted his image, taxicabs bore his face, and across the continent he became known as Africa's Che Guevara, a friend of the poor. But Sankara's revolution had enemies. On 15th October 1987, he was assassinated in a coup led by his one-time friend, Blaise Compaoré. Burkina Faso lost its young leader at age 37. A grateful generation promised never to forget. In fact, in 2020, a 6-meter bronze statue of Sankara was unveiled in Ouagadougou, and every year his memory inspires youth to seek change. Sankara believed ideas live forever, and many say his ideals still burn bright in Burkina Faso.
To preserve, respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution, the Charter of Transition, and the laws, to make every effort to guarantee justice to all inhabitants of Burkina Faso.
Fast forward to 2022. Burkina Faso is once again in turmoil. Terrorist attacks by jihadist groups from neighboring Mali and Niger have surged. The people are frustrated with poverty and insecurity. In January 2022, another young officer seized power, Captain Paul-Henri Damiba, promising to fix the army. But 9 months later, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, only 34 years old, took over. Damiba fled, and Traoré declared a new revolution.
Efforts will be too great to take this country out of the situation in which it finds itself. So, our commitment is for a return to peace. And our compass will always be the people. That is what will guide us.
Traoré's entry into power was dramatic. In late September 2022, after midnight, he appeared on television, flanked by soldiers with Kalashnikovs. Word spread quickly. A coup had happened. The next morning in Ouagadougou, crowds chanted his name. Supporters even waved Russian flags, a sign of Burkina Faso looking eastward for new partners. Videos showed young soldiers atop armored vehicles cheering Traoré, Traoré, and Russia, Russia, in a country tired of French influence. Captain Traoré drove through Ouagadougou in an armored vehicle, smiling and waving. Reuters reported cheering crowds waving Russian flags and even Prigozhin's Wagner logo. Within days, Traoré's junta ordered all French troops to leave the country. The French military base was closed, diplomats expelled. Traoré is often nicknamed Captain Sankara by supporters. Like his predecessor, he wears a red beret and talks of sweeping change. He said, "A slave who cannot assume his own revolt does not deserve to be pitied. We do not feel sorry for ourselves. We do not ask anyone to feel sorry for us." These were his words at an international summit in 2023. With fierce pride, he told Africans to unite and fight poverty and imperialism.
Nos dévanciers nous ont bien appris une chose. L'esclave qui n'est pas capable d'assumer sa révolte ne mérite pas que l'on s'apitoie sur son sort. Nous ne nous apitoyons pas sur nos sorts, on ne demande pas que quelqu'un s'apitoie sur notre sort.
Traore's style was forceful. He repeated Sankara's ideas. France gave us aid for 63 years, yet we stayed poor. Cutting it off will not kill us, it will make us rely on ourselves. He promised to break the old ties of dependency. Perhaps everything we've done has surprised you. We will break every tie that has kept us in slavery. Like Sankara, he talked of mining the country's gold for Burkinabe people, not foreign companies. As one analyst wrote, Traore quipped, "We will mine our gold ourselves, not for France, but for our people." Traore too cut costs. He refused the high presidential salary. In 2023, he announced he would continue living on his soldiers' pay. Malawi, 24, noted this was a stark contrast to previous leaders. He kept life simple. Many Burkinabe compare him to Sankara for this modesty. Traore also favors young people and soldiers. He knows Burkina has a very young population, and he often speaks to their hopes. In speeches, he reminded Africans of their shared history, even saying Africa and Russia are like family because both fought against Nazism. He thanked God for giving them this moment and for good health to fight for the future. Traore's references to Allah strike a contrast with Sankara's secular tone, but both leaders reached for deep faith in their messages. Traore once said something that struck many deeply. He said,
C'est décevant parce qu'en Europe, lorsque des peuples prennent les armes pour défendre leur patrie, on les traite de patriotes. Mais là n'est pas le problème. Ce qui est le problème, c'est de voir des chefs d'État africains qui n'apportent rien à ces peuples qui se battent, mais qui chantent la même chose que les impérialistes.
Like Sankara, Traore's message spreads fast. The BBC notes he has captured hearts and minds around the world. Crowds chant his slogans, "Glory to our peoples, homeland or death, we shall conquer." In the streets of Ouagadougou, murals of Traore now appear next to those of Sankara. Though their eras are decades apart, these fathers of Burkina share many traits. Both rose as captains in the army, calling themselves champions of the upright people. Both wore the red beret and uniforms, signaling courage. Both launched revolutions with slogans like, "Homeland or death, we will conquer." Both named Burkina Faso's past ills and blamed foreign powers. Sankara spoke of imperialists and debt. Traore says the same of neo-colonialism. Both have nationalized resources. Sankara closed French military base and refused IMF aid. Traore expelled French troops and closed the CFA franc arrangement. Each lifted up youths and soldiers. Sankara's committees for defense of the revolution mobilized common people, led often by young men and women. Traore created new volunteer defense units, VDP, for citizens to fight insurgents. Both believed an empowered citizenry, not foreign soldiers, should defend their homeland. Traore angrily pointed out that if a European defends his land with guns, he is a patriot. But in Africa, our fighters are called militias. He scolded African leaders, "Stop being puppets who dance whenever imperialists pull the strings." Sankara made similar remarks about African rulers cozying up to ex-colonial powers. Both captains also speak through actions. Sankara built a fuel refinery and food factories, showing self-sufficiency. Traore pushes local mining and even engineering projects. He has invested in agricultural mechanization and food security initiatives. Sankara once said, "You don't need us to go looking for foreign financial backers." That idea is echoed by Traore, who says local people must build Burkina's future together. Leadership style is also a mirror. Sankara lived on a small salary and drove a plain car. Traore once exchanged a damaged tank for sweets at a checkpoint, even made headlines for a video of him dancing and joking with soldiers. Both show a kind of charisma and humor. People say Sankara could launch a speech with a smile. Traore has been seen humorously lifting a shoe to demonstrate solidarity with the poor. Each likes to call people comrades. and end speeches with "Long live Burkina Faso" and "Homeland or Death." They also share broad ideology. Sankara was a Marxist Pan-Africanist who talked about class and nation. Traoré is often called a socialist nationalist. He talks about workers and farmers first and criticizes global capitalism. When Sankara rallied Africans, he often quoted political leaders. Traoré has likewise quoted revolutionary ideas. He once referenced Che Guevara's words in a speech. Both endorse unity. Sankara wanted African unity. Traoré is allying Burkina with neighbors Mali and Niger in the Alliance of Sahel States, explicitly to escape Western-backed blocs. In both eras, Burkina turns to new partners. Sankara looked to Gaddafi's Libya and Castro's Cuba for support. Traoré now looks to Russia and others for security help. Even 1,700 Russian troops arrived in 2023, by some reports. Youth appeal is another parallel. Sankara was called the people's friend, especially among young people and soldiers. Decades later, Traoré is often seen as a young hero. Both attract crowds with pop-style imagery. Traoré's speeches are live-streamed online and discussed on social media. One chant in recent protests was, "Traoré, our son, feed us," reflecting faith in him. Sankara's rallying cry, "Our people, our revolution," was similar. In both cases, listeners feel part of something bigger, a new revolution to improve life. Sankara and Traoré also face criticism, though from different angles. Sankara's reforms angered local elites and foreign powers. He was accused of authoritarianism, for example, harsh measures by youth militias and limits on speech. Many in West Africa's traditional leadership grew uneasy. Ultimately, Blaise Compaoré, Sankara's friend-turned-foe, overthrew him. The very thing Sankara stood for, justice, equality, change, made him enemies who arranged his assassination. His widow charged that France was involved in the plot.
Everything suggests that the assassination was premeditated.
C'est un crime, un assassinat prémédité.
An accusation that echoes Burkinabe distrust of outsiders. Traoré, on the other hand, has drawn ire from foreign and regional authorities. In 2023, the US accused him of misusing gold money, a charge Burkinabe saw as interference. West Africa's ECOWAS suspended Burkina and even threatened sanctions after his coup, a reminder of the post-colonial world order Sankara also battled. Meanwhile, some African governments label his volunteer fighters as militias, ignoring that these are ordinary citizens defending their villages. Traoré counters these criticisms by pointing to Sankara's legacy. He says the same powers that hated Sankara now hate him. In fact, he has even invoked Sankara's name in speeches. He said, "He who feeds you controls you." Well, now we are hungry for our own liberation. Yet both men have defenders who say they led with integrity. Upon Sankara's death, many in Burkina cried out that he was a patriot who loved his people, loved Africa. He gave his life for us, as one official put it. Likewise, Traoré enjoys popular support. Even the BBC has noted that people have captured hearts and minds around the world with his pledges. In April 2023, young Burkinabe rallied outside the French embassy shouting, "No whites, no whites," a sign that Traoré's anti-colonial message resonates with a generation angry at foreign influence. Both leaders also use symbols. Sankara's image, often smiling in a uniform and red beret, is iconic. Now statues of him stand tall. Traoré is also working on symbols. He recently raised the old black, green, red flag of Sankara's era and encouraged people to sing Sankara's old anthem. He invited a brass band to play Burkina's national song as he speaks. These gestures tie him to Sankara in people's minds. Today, Burkina Faso stands at a crossroads. Sankara's ideas are more popular than ever. Farmers and students still chant his sayings on social media and at protests. Traoré says he feels Sankara's spirit watching over him. In October 2022, he even unveiled plans for a Sankara Memorial Park with statues and libraries to pass on those revolutionary ideas to future generations. At the same time, life for ordinary Burkinabe remains hard. Poverty persists and terrorism still threatens. The two captains knew change is not instant. Traoré has set 2024 as a goal to restore civilian rule after stability returns. Sankara also said he would step down when he achieved his mission. They both used their brief time to try to set the country on a new path. Yet there is hope. Just as Sankara taught that ideas cannot be killed, Traoré believes a new spirit lives. He ends speeches with "Glory to our peoples, homeland or death,"
La patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons.
igniting listeners. An ancient African proverb reminds us, however long the night, the dawn will break. Sankara believed that, and so does a new generation under Traoré. The next leader of Burkina Faso will have to live up to these words. As one Burkinabe youth said at Sankara's trial, "He remains my president. What he did for the people encourages us young people to do as he did." That energy is in the air again. Whether Traoré can carry that torch or if history will repeat, only time will tell. In the end, the stories of Thomas Sankara and Ibrahim Traoré are deeply intertwined. Both captains, in different times, sought to free Burkina Faso from its ghosts of colonization and corruption. Both promised dignity, hard work, and unity. And both remind us that when a country's future is in the hands of its people, its destiny can be reshaped. We must dare to invent the future. These words, spoken in a very different Burkina Faso, still call out to us today. As Traoré and Sankara have shown, the fire of revolution still burns, waiting to light the way forward. Thanks for watching. I wish you better life, foods, and money. Stay in the Big Wins family.